There have been a lot of budget 7x7s released. Fortunately for you, I've bought them all, and now I'm going to tell you which one is the best one. Let's check them out. Okay guys, first up we have the MF7S by Fang Joshi. This is a very popular budget 7x7. We're going to go ahead and check it out. I've got the stickerless version here. I own the black one, and it performs exactly the same. And as you're going to see, this is a very smooth puzzle. Not at all scratchy. Turns really well. Nice speed on the outer layers. And again, very smooth. As you can hear, not scratchy, not at all scratchy, not at all difficult to turn. Corner cutting is about one piece easily, and then it gets a little hinky after that. But no issues with pops. This is a very solid puzzle. No issues with pops. Very stable, and turns really well. One issue with the MF7S is that it does get significantly slower on the inner layers. Second layer, not too bad, but then once you get to the third layers, it definitely is much slower, much stiffer, and a little more difficult to turn. But overall, really solid performance for a 7x7. No complaints really, other than the inner layers being just a little bit slow. No complaints with the MF7S. Next up, we have the 7x7 from Livan. Livan, however you pronounce that. And this one actually also turns pretty well. Not nearly as well as the MF7S though. Much scratchier. And a little more catchy. So turning is not quite as good, not quite as smooth as some of the other puzzles. And a little more even in terms of performance or speed from layer to layer, but not great. Big drawback to the the Livan is the shades are pretty bad. It's more like this is not really a pink. It's kind of I don't even know what to call that, but it's just not very good and very pastel. And the other sides, the other blue and so forth, they're just not great as far in terms of contrast. Not terrible, but not great. And overall performance is a little lacking. You might hear a little bit of spring noise in there. That can of course be taken care of with lube. But definitely a little catchy, a little scratchy, but still not bad. You know, not the best performance we've seen, but not bad. All right, next up we have the Ruifu from YJ. Now this one is very, very smooth and quiet. But a little on the sluggish side. One nice thing with the Ruifu is that performance from layer to layer is very similar. It's not a big drop off on the inner layers like there is on some of the other puzzles. Decent enough corner cutting. You're going to get about one piece. And overall a pretty darn nice puzzle. A little more catchy than you might like, but overall turning is pretty smooth. And there we go. Get that back to solved. And quiet. Overall a pretty solid puzzle. Next up we have the 7x7 from ZCube. This one has a nice light and kind of airy feel to it. Kind of a scratchy turning. Not as quiet or as smooth as some of the others. But turns pretty well. You know, decent speed, but again, not super smooth. And so just a little bit of catching as I'm turning. That's probably the best inner layer of the ones the puzzles I've tried so far. Nice even speed across all layers. Not super fast on the outers, but definitely pretty nice. Corner cutting is not great. Yeah, real hard corner cutting there, even at one piece or one cubie. And again, same as the Livan issue, is the coloring is not great. We got the pastel, almost, I think they're exact same shades as the Livan puzzle, in fact. But again, overall pretty nice. Not great, a little more catchy, a little more sluggish than you might like. And again, no corner cutting. So definitely not one of the best ones I've tested so far, but not completely terrible either. Next up we have the Qijing S from Qi. There's also the Qijing, which is the black version of this puzzle. Now on this one, plastic is it's the matted, or not the matted, the frosted plastic. It's a little more muted, kind of like what's on the Warrior W. Colors are a little pastel, so you got a red that's leaning towards pink, but still very red. Turning is very smooth. And the 3x3 outer layer stage on this puzzle is fantastic. Very, very responsive and snappy, as you can see. Pretty even across all layers, a little bit slower on the very innermost layer, but overall very smooth across all layers. Corner cutting is pretty darn good, as I just caused a lockup. Easy to repair though, so don't cut it that far. But that is a really nice puzzle. Yeah, you got about 1 cubie worth of corner cutting. And honestly, you don't need much more than that on a 7x7 anyway. But overall, if you don't mind the frosted plastic, this is a really nice puzzle. Turns great, nice and smooth, and great performance on the outer layer 3x3 stage. Alright, next up we have the Shanghai Tank, the first 7x7 from Shanghai in several years. Now the tank has the kind of unusual textured plastic that a lot of the budget Shanghai puzzles have these days. Some people hate it. I don't mind it at all. It can be a little slippery, but most of the time the grip is pretty good. Turning on the outer layers is smooth or fast, with a little bit of a scratchy feel to it. Inner layers are a little more sluggish, but still pretty darn good. And the 3x3 stage on the Shanghai Tank is really nice. Now, it is just a little catchy. A little more catchy than you might like, so it doesn't flow quite as smoothly as you might like. But overall, pretty darn nice. But it does punish inaccurate turning just a little bit, as you can see. So just a little bit of catching. Corner cutting is about 1 cubie, maybe a little less. Yeah, pretty much about 1 cubie. So pretty standard for across what we've seen on some of the other 7x7s. Overall, pretty nice. Shades are good. Plastic texture is a little unusual, so that might be an issue for some people. But overall, performance is pretty darn good. 3x3 stage is snappy, a little more catchy than we might like. Next up we have the MF7 from Fang Joshi. And this one holds the distinction of being the largest of the 7x7s we're going to look at in this budget roundup. Coming in at 71 millimeters. It's very similar to the MF7S. A little bit of a scratchy feel, nice performance. A little bit of scratchy feel, but still turned very smoothly. Good outer layers. A little bit of a sandy feel on the inner layers, but actually turns pretty darn well in there as well. And actually is not bad on the outer layers as far as performance. And as you can see, just a little bit of catching, nothing too serious, but a little bit of catching. And the size, after using some of the other puzzles, size is just a little bit of an issue because it is a little bigger at 71 millimeters. So if you have smaller hands, this one might be a little bit of a problem for you. But again, turning is very smooth, very nice. Corner cutting, no problem about one piece, and then struggles after that. So not too bad. Solid performance is solid. But again, sandy and a little slower on the inner layers. Outer layers, not bad. Just a little bit more catchy than you might like. But again, overall, a pretty darn solid puzzle. Not an issue not an issue recommending that one to anybody. Our final puzzle in the budget 7x7 roundup is the G7 from Cyclone Boys. And this is a really nice puzzle. Very smooth, very quiet, snappy, responsive performance on the outer layers, and nice, even performance across the inner layers as well. It does have just a little bit of a sandy feel, so you get that nice feedback from the friction. Not a whole lot of catching going on. A nice fast performance on the outer layers like you want to see. Now one thing to mention is that out of all the puzzles in this roundup, this is the one that is not competition legal right out of the box. It's got a logo on the corner piece, which is not legal. It has to be on the center. And so if you do decide you want to use this in a competition, just be aware that you got to mess with it and get that logo erased off of your puzzle before you can use it in a competition. But overall, this is a really nice puzzle, and performance is solid. Let's go ahead and check corner cutting. Oh, one piece is no problem, and with some force, about a piece and a half, 2 pieces. So maybe the best corner cutting we've seen out of any of the budget puzzles in this roundup. Overall, really nice, excellent shades. A nice red, nice deep blue. Overall, a really nice puzzle, snappy performance, smooth, quiet, just a little bit of sand and scratchiness to the turning, which you kind of like to see, but overall, really nice option, the Cyclone Boys G7. So, at the end of the day, with your budget $7x7, which puzzle should you buy? Well, through the process of elimination during this roundup, I've narrowed it down to 3. We got the Fang Joshi, the Fang Joshi MF7S, and the Cyclone Boys G7. All 3 are excellent puzzles, and you can't go wrong with any of the 3. Now, if I had to pick one, which one is the best? I'm going with the Cyclone Boys G7. Cyclone Boys G7 has the best performance overall, in my opinion, and it's a nice combination of speed, controllability, corner cutting, and size. That's the MF7S and the Qijing also have really nice performance, but I like the smaller, more compact size of the Cyclone Boys G7, and I also like the plastic, the coloring a little better than the Qijing here on the G7, because I'm not a huge fan of that slightly frosted plastic that the Qijing has. But overall, this is the option to go with, the Cyclone Boys G7. The best budget 7x7 that you can buy. Now, here's the thing. Right now, thanks to so many 7x7s coming out, new ones coming out on the market, there are options for sales. There's lots of sales going on, things of that nature. The nice thing is, as we've kind of discovered through this process, other than maybe the ZCube and the Livan puzzles, you almost can't go wrong with any of the budget 7x7s. And even those 2 are pretty decent. You know, if you get them dirt cheap, they're not bad options either. So basically, you know, if you don't feel like waiting, just buy the one that's cheapest. And that will work for you. Or you may get lucky, and in recent weeks we've seen the Yushin Huanglong and the Qi Wuji, which are both flagship level 7x7s. Those have been on sale for under $20, and if you can get one of those for under $20, that's the way to go. Those are excellent options. But if you're looking for a budget 7x7 right now, the best one on the market, Cyclone Boys G7, that's the one to buy. This is my recommendation, and you would not be disappointed if you pick this one up. If you like what you're seeing, go ahead and hit subscribe, hit like, hit the bell down below, throw some comments in there as well, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks everybody. Take care.